Hello everybody and welcome to my YouTube channel. I hope you're having a good day so far. Today I'm taking inspiration from Samantha March again. I mean, that girl has amazing ideas. I will put her channel down below as well as the link to the video that inspired this one, but she basically talked about her makeup preferences and how they've changed, and I decided to do that same thing because I was looking back at some of my older videos and I was looking back at some of my old pictures and even thinking in my brain how my makeup style has changed, and it has done so significantly. And I thought it might be fun to sort of take a trip down memory lane and talk about some of those nuances, some of those changes that I have really noticed in my makeup style over the past, I'd say few years that I have been wearing makeup. But anyway, let's just get into it. So the very first thing I want to talk about was over plucking my brows, and I feel like a lot of people can talk about this in a similar way because I feel like we all, unless we have been very lucky and very smart about it, we all can say that we have at some point have overplucked our brows, have done something to our brows. It's not necessarily the best or doesn't necessarily look the best, and for a while I was basically overplucking my brows, and it's kind of weird because I think at the time I was like, okay, yes, I'm not overplucking my brows, I'm not overwaxing them, this looks totally fine. But if you go to my Instagram page and you look at my older photos, I mean, I don't even know why those photos are still up. I probably should delete them, but I'll put some on the screen so you can see what I mean. I had seriously overplucked brows, and it was like really bad. Now my brows, like, I mean, I'm not gonna say that I'm the perfect person to basically be showing you guys my brows, but like, my brows are not perfect. The way I do them is not perfect. It probably never will be, but you can see that my brows right now, they're on the thicker side because I have been doing less to them. I do only wax them, I would say, once a month, if that, or like I'd say once every 2 months. I basically like to not touch them as much as possible, and I also try to not wax the top parts of my brows as much. And I have noticed even now, if I keep the top parts of my brows and I just like leave them alone, it does give my face like a more open look that I really do like. What I usually do is I kind of like just go into my brow bone area, and if I have like a few hairs that are just like randomly there that I don't really want, I typically tweeze them out. But I'm not necessarily as interested in the perfect waxed plucked brow that I was when I was a lot younger. I'm just not into that, and that is definitely a makeup thing, a makeup preference that has changed because my brows used to be skinny. Now they're not. They're still like, I would like them to be a little bit thicker, but like these are my natural looking brows. Like these are how my brows naturally are. I just fill them in. So yes, anyway, how long have we been talking about brows? A long time. Let's move on. The next thing that I want to talk about is nose contouring. I used to contour my nose like a fiend. I was so into contouring my nose, and I will say that this did stem from a very, like, I would say considerable insecurity that I had with my nose, because I think one day I looked in the mirror and I was like, wow, my nose is ugly, you know. And my nose actually, like, this is my nose if you have never seen it before. This is it. I actually got my nose from my Indian side, from my dad's side, and for like a while, like when I was like 14 or so, I wanted like a nose job, and I was like, I want to fake a nose job with my nose contouring, which is fine, but like I actually wanted a nose job at the time. I was like, when I get older, I'm gonna get a nose job. Now, like, I'm just like, I want my nose the way it is. I like my nose. I see like my family like reflected in the way my nose is, and I love that. So now, whenever I think nose contouring, I just really don't care enough to make that a step in my makeup routine. I don't care enough about my nose to basically try and contour it. You know, like I don't want to. I mean, I know how to, and I feel like it would be fun to talk about it or to do it every now and then, but honestly, like, long story short, I could not be bothered to contour my nose. It's just not a step I want to get into because I'm lazy and I'm so low maintenance when it comes to my face makeup. I just don't want to deal with it. Another thing that I used to do all the time, every single day, but now no longer do, is baking. Now, baking is basically when you do your face makeup and you have your foundation on, you have your concealer, you have all the works, and then you put powder on top of like certain areas of the face, and you put a lot of powder on, right? And it's supposed to sit there for about 5 to 10, sometimes sometimes even longer, 5 to 10 minutes typically, and then you're supposed to like brush it off. And this actually really helps your face makeup stay on a long time. It really just helps sort of like lengthen the longevity of your makeup really, and it's a really great technique. However, I used to do this like all the time. I used to do it every single day. I used to love doing it. I was really going for the matte look, more on that later, but I used to bake every single day. Now I hardly ever bake. I only ever bake when I'm going to be out in the heat and when I'm going to be sweating. That is usually when I'm performing or whenever I'm going to like a certain like event where I want to have like really dramatic makeup, but still I don't want my face to be an oil slick. And I've said this before in some videos and I'll say it again. Texas is really, really hot in the summer, and that's where I live. The humidity is way up there, so sometimes baking is a necessity. But since I don't really wear foundation on my face to begin with that much anymore, I have basically not been baking that much at all. I now bake once every few months. Like that's literally when I do it, and I just don't necessarily like that technique anymore because it literally makes your skin really dry, and I don't like that. I want my skin to be a little bit more moisturized, and that actually brings me into my next point. I used to literally go for like the very dry, very matte look, save for like a few spots of highlight, but I was really interested in making my face look as matte as could be because when I was younger, I had a lot of like insecurities about oily skin and about the fact that I had a lot of acne, and I still have acne, it still exists, but I used to have like a lot of really severe acne. And because of that, I felt the need to literally put on so much like product on my face to literally make my face look the most matte it could look. And I used to not go for moisture at all. I used to basically go for the entirely matte look. That's where the baking comes in. I also used to set my entire face with powder. I also used to really want my lips to look super matte. More on that later. Have to adjust that. But yes, long story short, I was really into the super matte look. I used to be into like the super matte look, but now that mindset for me has completely changed. I now love like a very luminous, very natural looking finish. Like, I mean, I'm not wearing any powder on my face except for a little bit of bronzer, and I just love this like very highlighted look. I love feeling and looking like very luminous and very healthy. And I would say even that for a period of time, I had like this phase where I was really interested in looking almost overly luminous to the point that I looked super oily. Now I've sort of dialed it back to looking more of like a healthy, glowing kind of look. I really want to look natural when it comes to my face makeup. At the same time, I want to look a little bit luminous. So that has translated to me using little to no powder when it comes to my face makeup. I just don't really use powder to set, to bake. I literally have stopped using face powders. The only powder that I use on my face on a regular basis is powder bronzer, and that's it. I also really used to set my eyeshadow base religiously. I used to love setting my eyeshadow base. It was my thing. I really felt that setting my eyeshadow base was essential for my eyeshadow application, and I guess for a time it was because a few years ago, I was basically wearing neutrals all the time, and I really wanted to create that look of basically having neutrals that were super blended out, super blown out, very seamless. And I was not necessarily interested in using color, and I basically was fine with setting my eyeshadow base because I felt like it really increased the blendable effect of eyeshadows. However, right around the time I started wearing a lot of colorful makeup and I started like wearing a lot of like bright colors, I found that setting your eyeshadow base is almost like a direct recipe for a really just like mediocre eyeshadow look, at least for me, because setting your eyeshadow when you're doing a colorful look basically has the effect of you putting on the color and it not being very pigmented, because if you're using colorful shades, you really want the shades to stick to your eyelid almost, and using like a tacky eyeshadow base or like a tacky foundation or concealer really helps you with color payoff. So when I used to set my eyeshadow base, I would basically almost be shooting myself in the foot because I wasn't able to have the color payoff. So almost the minute I stopped wearing an eyeshadow base, I loved the way my eyeshadow look looked so vibrant and so fun and so like just intense. And that all happened when I stopped setting my eyeshadow base. Is it a great technique if you want to really create a really blended, blown out look? Yes. But my look right now, I really wanted to create a really vivid, very saturated, very colorful array of looks, and the way I do that is literally by not setting my eyeshadow base. Another thing that I used to do all the time is wearing liquid lipstick and nothing else. I'm talking no gloss, no lip balm, well, maybe some lip balm every now and then, but I'm basically saying I would go for like the very matte liquid lipstick look all the time. And now whenever I look at old pictures of myself or old videos, I cringe because I cannot deal these days with having a matte lip, like with having a matte liquid lipstick on my lips, unless it's like an amazing formula or I'm wearing a balm underneath. I can't deal with having dry lips. It's like a pet peeve of mine now. I always carry lip balm. I always love to moisturize my lips. I cannot deal with dry lips. And now, whenever I use liquid lipstick, I usually put a gloss up on top because I cannot necessarily deal with the feeling of dry lips. Then I also really want to talk about layers and layers that I used to put on my face. I used to basically do layer after layer after layer of product on my face. That used to be the way I used to do my makeup all the time. I thought that if I did layer after layer of baking, powdering, product on my face, I felt like I basically was increasing the longevity of my makeup, which is not the case. If you basically do layer after layer on your skin, you're increasing the likelihood of your makeup slipping and sliding, you're increasing the discomfort that you might be feeling, and it's just like a waste of time and energy for me personally to be putting layers and layers of makeup on my face. Now I am the most low maintenance person that I have ever been when it comes to my face makeup. I love to basically put the bare minimum of makeup on my face. Less is more, in my opinion, in my book. Less is more, definitely for my face makeup. I love just putting on no foundation whatsoever, maybe some bronzer, maybe some highlight. Day to day, I definitely do absolutely no product on my face, on my skin whatsoever. I tend to go for like nothing. I really do love eye looks and I really do love experimenting with eyeshadow, so that's where I devote most of my time and attention. But I literally like that concept of layering and layering and layering product on my face for my face makeup is gone. Like, I just don't like to put a lot of product on my face. I mean, I love to put the names of products and things I'm using in my description box whenever I'm doing tutorials. And whenever you click on and if you click on the description box and you see the face section, you will probably see 3 products or less because I am that low maintenance. And before it would be like 5 products or more, but now I'm just less is more, no layering. I want to have like the most comfortable feeling skin possible. I want to be able to touch my face, to rub my face. That sounds really weird. That's not technically good for your skin either, but basically I want my face to be touchable. I want it to be natural feeling. I want my face to feel like I'm wearing little to no makeup on it whatsoever, and the only way for my face to feel like that is if I'm legitimately not putting product on my face, which is why I have been trying to layer less or not at all. I basically put the bare minimum of makeup on my face when I used to literally put every single product I could find on my face because I thought it looked good. I also have to say that I used to think that more was more when it came to coverage. Like I said before, had problems with acne and oiliness. So I would literally do like full coverage or like medium to full coverage all the time, every day. For videos, I would do full coverage, and it was a lot on my skin. Like, even in person, I feel like my skin looked so like cakey even when I would basically do everything I could to make sure it didn't look cakey. But then at the same time, I was putting on layers and layers of makeup, and it was like full coverage makeup on my skin. Just in general, like, I would be so obsessed with like wearing full coverage on my face all the time. I was so obsessed with covering every single like little pore, every single like discoloration or acne mark, and I was so obsessed with doing that. You guys know that now I tend to go for the lightest amount of coverage possible, or I just tend to forego foundation and concealer altogether, which is basically what I do most of the time anyway. I have noticed that when I have dialed back the coverage on my makeup, I basically have been able to experience not only an increase in self-confidence and assurance, but I have also been able to save money on foundation, and I've been able to experience better skin altogether. And yes, that has a lot to do with my products that I'm using, my diet, but I feel like it's common knowledge that whenever you put less on your face in general, you will have less problems on your skin because you will have less clogged pores, where your skin is definitely able to breathe a lot more. And do I still have problems with my skin? Yes, I definitely do. I still have a lot of clogged pores, but I will say that my skin right now is better than it was for a very long time, and I attribute that to a lot of less coverage, a lot of no foundation. But now I'm kind of like, I'm free. I can do colorful makeup. I can wear like little to no makeup on my face, and I feel so amazing. Like, I feel great. But that is where I'm going to end this video. I feel like I've been talking for a very long time. Editing Anya is definitely not very happy with me right now because I feel like, well, yes, this video is about 30 minutes long so far. I'm gonna have to do a lot of editing. But thank you so much for watching. I do hope you enjoyed this video and found it interesting. Please check out Samantha's original video down below, and also let me know, like, what are some of the makeup techniques or makeup habits that you really loved doing a few years ago, or even a decade ago, that you now no longer find yourself enjoying that much. Let me know your thoughts down below and I will get back to you. But thank you so much for watching till the end. I do hope you enjoyed this video and found it interesting, and I'll see you tomorrow. Bye guys.